Glenn Taylor and Jimmy Butler met, and Glenn Taylor was like, I'm going to try and find a trade destination for you. It's my team. I'm going to try and do this. Please chill out and practice a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Be a professional.
And as now everyone knows, he did not chill out in practice. He
has not been chill in practice.
No.
Yeah.
What does that mean, be a professional?
I think it means stop cursing out the guy I gave $190 million to.
Right. So there's kind of like a three-headed problem in Minnesota. There's Jimmy Butler, who, do you consider him a problem, first of all? I mean, of course he's dramatic and everything he's done has been problematic, but is he a problem teammate? Do you trade for him?
Would I trade for him?
Yes.
If I were the Sixers, for instance, it would depend on who I was sending the other way. There are certain personalities in the Sixers locker room that I think could handle the Jimmy Butler experience, and there are certain personalities that I don't think can handle the Jimmy Butler experience.
Well, I think this version of Jimmy Butler is kind of a new one, right? There's been a revelation here about his exertion of will. We've known in terms of like his ball dominance and the way that he controls fourth quarters in his professional career, his effectiveness as a basketball player. He has a certain assertion of will, but this is the first time we've seen like a public Jimmy Butler saying, I want to be in a different kind of thing, like a franchise directing kind of Jimmy Butler, and he's kind of a dick.
Sure.
And I dig it.
I dig it too. I think the question is, do you build around that? Or do you trade for that?
No.
I don't think that plan was ever to build around Jimmy. I think Jimmy was supposed to ratify Cat and Wiggs. He did the exact opposite.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to tear these guys down.
Those are the two other problems. One is Karl-Anthony Towns recently extended. He only signed the extension after
Jimmy Butler demanded a trade. Yeah.
I don't think he thought Jimmy Butler would still be on the team at this point in the young season, young as it can be.
Yes.
And then the other issue is Wiggins, who is a bit more of a quiet problem, but every time there's a story about like what's going on in Minnesota, like in the fourth or fifth paragraph, it's like, right, and then there's the Wiggins situation.
Yes, and the Wiggins situation has kind of been this undercurrent of this whole story, this subtext, because initially when Jimmy Butler first asked for his trade, the Wiggins family at large was brought in because Steven Jackson was talking trash about Andrew Wiggins, and then Nick Wiggins, Andrew Wiggins' brother, was like hallelujah when Jimmy Butler was going to get traded. So there's been some problems there, but then at the notorious, infamous you effing need me practice, at the end of the practice, even though he had been the target of a lot of the vitriol, Jimmy Butler apparently dapped up or Andrew Wiggins apparently dapped up Jimmy Butler.
Right. So it's really like a three-way problem of disliking each other among these three stars. And then when the story first came out, one of the rumors on the internet was that Towns had been dating the same woman for a long time. And last season, I had heard rumors that he only cared about his stat sheet and his girlfriend. And then they were suddenly broken up.
And he really started caring about his stat sheet.
And then he started really caring about only his stats. And the rumor was that like maybe something happened between her and Jimmy. Everyone's denied it. There's no evidence this is true. But that's the kind of, that's like the most insidious rumor you can have in your locker room. True or not. Like that just is very bad for team morale.
Well, look, this is Sources Say, and I'm so happy to be here for this moment.
You don't discuss this on Friday Rollin'?
It doesn't come up on Shack House either.
Friday Rollin' is usually Joe and Bill rubbing each other down with baby oil, giving picks in the NFL.
The worst picks. The worst picks. Not just picks, but really bad picks. We give the betting world an opportunity to fade the F out of us. But the terrific thing about this rumor is obviously it is true. Wow. Because every time there is any disagreement, this is the NBA. We know this. Anytime there's any disagreement between players, there is one of two causes. It is either money or females.
Yeah.
And that's where we are.
Yeah, it's like the Spurs had that rumor as well. I mean, it's come up.
The Spurs did conquer
And
that
it wasn't
rumor.
a rumor.
To be fair,
It happened.
It's not necessarily a death sentence for your team.
It's not.
Wait, the Barry left.
Yeah,
Barry
but
had to
the
leave.
Spurs moved on.
And then they moved on.
Yeah, it wasn't like they well, we got to wrap up the franchise here.
And in
that
situation, the team would be was behind Parker, who's the butler here.
Yeah.
And this is the opposite.
That's so rude.
Seems like they're investing in Towns, who they drafted. I mean, it's really, it's a different situation, but it is like, true or not, that's just so bad for morale. And they're still on the same team.
Yeah, there's one other prong to this whole thing.
Please tell us, Chris.
It's the Tibbs versus Glenn Taylor beef.
Right.
So Tom Thibodeau co-signed the Jimmy Butler experience here. He was like, this is what we need to take our team to the next level.
I mean, it wasn't a co-sign, right?
Yeah, he was like, we're a package deal.
He initiated.
Yes.
He was like, I got to have my guy.
Send Zach LaVine and Chris Dunn to Chicago for, and what wound up being Lauri Markkanen for Jimmy Butler. And
the infamous F+.
Jimmy Butler demands a trade. Jimmy Butler has Tom Thibodeau fly to Los Angeles to reiterate, I want to be traded. Tom Thibodeau doesn't want to trade Jimmy Butler. And apparently, Glenn Taylor went over Tom Thibodeau's head and said, we're open for business. By all means, send me your best offers for Jimmy Butler. And then Tom Thibodeau is reportedly sabotaging those trade talks.
Right.
So somebody thinks they have a deal going with Glenn Taylor. They call the office. Tibbs picks up. Scott Layden picks up. And they're like, no, we're going to either need all this other stuff that you didn't think you were going to have to add, or we're just not doing the deal at all. And my favorite rumor, and this has been shot down, but we have to say it, is that Miami and Minnesota were very close to making a deal that was like Josh Richardson and whatever else. At the very last second, Tom Thibodeau called Pat Riley, allegedly, and said, I'm going to need a sweetener. You got to take Gorgie Dang off my hands. And Pat Riley called him a motherfucker and hung up.
This here with all the ice on in the booth. At the gate outside, when they pull up, they give me loose. Yeah, jump